Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Happy, good evening. I was about to say happy birthday. Good evening. Hi, everyone. Everybody who's with us, tuning in, who will be seeing this maybe after we've done this recording. Happy evening to all of you. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this, to watch this, and to listen to this conversation. I'm privileged to be part of this session today. I have some very wonderful guests with me, good friends of mine, some who I know longer than others, but I'm happy and privileged to know them both. We have an interesting topic today. We're talking about lessons from my father. And as you know, Papa Bear is all about fatherhood. It's all about how men can be better fathers. That's really the goal of Papa Bear. And we have conversations with different people. This segment that we do every Friday evening is about straight conversations around things that we as fathers can do better. And I'm hoping that as a result of this conversation specifically today, we can learn more about how to father our daughters better. And so I have two wonderful, beautiful women with me this evening to talk about what they've learned from their fathers. And I'll ask them to introduce themselves. I'll start with you, Christine.
Okay, thanks, Mongera. I'm Christine Gathuni, a certified financial consultant, and I'm born again, and I had a wonderful father while growing up.
Okay. Okay. Is he still alive, Christine?
No, he passed on in 2006.
Oh, Paul Sana. Paul Sana. Okay, all right. Sharon?
Right. Hi, viewers. Good evening, viewers.
Have you always wanted to say that?
Right. And thanks for tuning in. So my name is Sharon Bogwa, and I am a market research and talent assessment professional. Like Christine, I'm born again. I like to introduce myself as a sister, a daughter, an aunt. And I'm blessed that my father is still with us. And so yeah, I look forward to discussing the lessons today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I know I don't always say my name, but a lot of people know who I am, but I'll just say who I am now. My name is Mongera Mutiga. I'm also a Christian. I am a practicing believer. I believe in the word of God. I have a walk with God. And this platform that we have around fatherhood is something that God put in my heart to do, to try and improve the state of fatherhood. I think fatherhood is in a sorry state today, which is something I'm hoping to do something about. And yes, I had a good childhood. I had a good relationship with my dad, still alive. We still have a good relationship. We had our moments, teenage, when I rebelled and all that, but eventually we got back together. I learned how wise he is after so long. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have you guys on. I want to start with just maybe I can start with you, Christine. You mentioned that your father passed on, but you had a good relationship with him growing up. Was that always the case? Were you always tight with your dad, or was there a time when that didn't happen?
It was, I'm the last born of 5 kids. So because I'm the last born, I got to spend more time with my dad probably than my siblings, because he was retired and in business rather than employed. Okay. So the relationship just got better and better because we had the time to relate. We were very close. I'm named after his sister. So, and I kind of look like him and his people. So yeah, we were very, very close.
Okay. Okay. And so, there was never a time when you had a rebellious phase and, your relationship with his got a bit strained. That never happened to you?
Not really. Because, okay, when I was in uni, my parents were in Shags, and I was in uni at USIU, so I didn't see my parents as often. So I can say there was a bit of a disconnect because of them not being in Nairobi. But no, I don't really remember a time when we were not really close or had like a rebellious phase. Not really.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting an echo on my div. Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm having a bit of a technical challenge here. Let me just switch things up a bit. Okay, cool. So what about you, Sharon? Tell me, what's your relationship with your dad like? What was it like when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think, I can say, like Christine, my relationship has been really good. We've been close over the years. My childhood was interesting since I wasn't in Nairobi County, and so we grew up by the beach, as it were. And so I have fond memories of, doing beach walks and playing in the swimming pool. And I see pictures of him holding me as a baby. And so yeah, I think that was just the foundation for all the years of closeness. So yes, I would say we are close. We speak often, and I consider him, in addition to my dad, I would say he's my friend.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So no rebellion from you. No, you never went left the house.
True.
A suitcase
in a half.
and in a half.
No, I think again, like in college, there was the part of like you're self-discovering and all these things, and so I probably made some decisions that they, especially dad, or actually both my parents, may not have been very excited about. But yeah, I feel like that was then, and then stepped out into quote unquote the real world, with all its ups and downs. So that's probably the only time. And then yeah, so since then, I think I would say actually with both my parents, but there's a unique kind of relationship I would have with my dad. I still do.
Okay. Okay. Let me address the elephant in the room. So I mean, you guys are both single ladies, right? And I imagine that you've had relationships with men in the past. At least I'm assuming that, right? And so my question is, what about your relationship with your dad informed or had an impact on your relationships with the opposite gender? Is there anything in your relationship with your dad that either informed or hindered in any way or helped with your relationships with men? Let me start with you, Christine.
Definitely my parents' relationship, with each other influenced my relationships. My dad was my mom's best friend. They were boys, they were besties, they were everything. So that showed me love, what love should look like. So it also gave me confidence as a woman, because he loved me also and my sisters as well, very, very like intentionally. I would just say it taught me not to settle for less. My dad did meet two of my boyfriends as I was to date, and he became their friends. Like he would talk to them, and by then my dad was very social, so he would literally get along with everyone. So yeah, even with the boyfriend I had just before my dad passed, he took a keen interest, and they even became friends. So he influenced by my observation, and then also now in that area of just interaction with the guys I dated.
Okay, so did you feel like there was, like, he set a bar that was really high that guys are finding it hard to meet in your life?
He set a bar that was high, but what it did for even my extended family is that he mentored a lot of my nephews, my cousins, my older nephews, my cousins, my uncles in their marriages. So they would go to him for advice. They would, like, he mentored a lot of married relatives. I wouldn't say he set the bar too high. And yes, I'm single in that I'm not married, but I'm actually seeing someone at the moment, although it's very new, so I'm not going to say much about that. But I would just say he set a good example. He set a good standard.
Okay.
So he also gave, like I said, he gave us that self-confidence, that identity, knowing you're loved, you're beautiful, you can work hard, you can do all these things. Education is your friend, all those things. So I would say it was a good influence.
Okay. Would you say that it's true what people say? There's this thing that, if you find a strong woman, then it's very difficult to relate to them because her dad has given her like this bar that's way up there. So, for you to keep up, you really have to up your game. Is that true? Is that a myth?
I think it's probably true for some people, but you have to really, I'm born again, so I think the Holy Spirit has to lead you. And if the Holy Spirit is not leading you, then you're going to trip whether there was a bar or there wasn't a bar set up high. So I would just say it's probably true for some people, but not all.
Okay. What about you, Sharon? What's your story? You've been in relationships before. Has your relationship with your dad affected that in any way?
Yeah, in fact, as Christine was talking, I was trying to think back to the different ones. So I don't know that it consciously affected it. But yes, I think there was a sense of not settling. In fact, I remember there was one, he was my first really close boyfriend, and then we had a fallout. So we had this whole thing where I said, I'm going to sort of do myself up and kind of like show him, who's boss kind of thing. And we had this whole, one of those. We had this whole thing where we had dinner and everything. And yeah, so he was, he wasn't too far away to sort of like, I'll show you, I'll help you show you kind of thing. So I think a lot of what my memories are when I look back is mostly it's fun, because I think that's who my dad is. My dad is very social and fun. And so in my case, even now through the different people I dated, yes, there was a sense where I wasn't going to settle for less. There was a sense where I think we, especially now that the boyfriend I had the longest, just because we're also very good friends with my dad, I think that's what I extended to this person, so that we build a strong friendship. And to the question of whether about the strong woman and whether the bar is set too high, I think like Christine, it was about setting a standard. So it wasn't like you have to jump through hoops to connect. It's just because he's been social, and then that's the same extension I would have for friends as well as boyfriends. And so I think again, yes. So the whole strong woman doesn't mean that it's a block. It just means that there's support around you, and that I guess would be the expectation, from a future husband, a future father, a long-term relationship partner. And I guess while we're on the topic, because you kind of mentioned a bit around whether there was a sense of maybe equality or something in terms of the growing up. And yeah, I mean, there was absolutely no difference among us as we grew up. I have a sister, I have two brothers, treated exactly the same, very open space to explore what you want to do, all these things, nothing about particular roles for particular people. Just a very open and loving relationship. I think that's the thing I still hold till now. There's just a lot of love and support. I would say within my parents, but then including my dad as well.
Okay. There's this, and it's something that I've been grappling with for some time. That we find a lot of women or girls basically are given or are raised with a certain expectation, because I guess society is very patriarchal, and so there's this thinking that you're going to go out there and life is not going to be fair to you, and so therefore you have to sort of be extra, you have to do more, you have to work harder, you have to give more. You're going to get less returns for the same investment that somebody else of your age who's male would put in. So there's sort of like an imbalance in life that a lot of women are being raised with. I mean, was your dad aware of that? Was he raising you in that way? Was that something that you were consciously aware of as you were growing up? Let me start with you, Christine.
I wouldn't say, I would say no for my family, because my dad was, he grew up in the colonial era. So he adopted the English approach of, you know, everyone is equal. Education is very, very important. He didn't really program us into those roles of expectation. So I would say no. And that's against, can I say, his family's culture. So it was very standout in that he was always pushing the girls to, my eldest cousin, on my dad's side, he really mentored her, and she became a magistrate at a young age. She was a lawyer and then became a magistrate. So he did that with a lot of my female cousins, the older ones, because I had cousins who are 20 years older than me. And I would say, yeah, he didn't really he didn't put those traditional roles on us. Yeah.
Sharon, what about you? Did your dad have a traditional approach to raising you as girls, you and your sister?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking it's so funny how we have things in common with Christine. But yeah, you know, us as well, there, you know, especially so my dad is in his family, I think there are 4 brothers and a sister. Well, one brother is late. And so within their family, I think they kind of had a sort of more, yes, sort of English, more proper upbringing among themselves. Now, among us, you know, there was a very sort of unique approach, I would say, in terms of support and love, and not expecting anything different, you know, for women versus men. So in our case, then, like I was saying, my sisters and brothers exactly the same. I think unconsciously he kind of supported from the background, especially around, if it's things like what we now call the Me Too movement, you know, around it, you know, inequality in pay and all those things. But if I think back to even say, you know, my first job, there was never anything about, you know, I know, or I guess even the knowledge that you are probably earning different from another. In fact, if anything, these are things I'm finding out, you know, as I'm older, that these things actually happen. But I think, you know, just a very solid background. I think what was unique for us, and it's interesting because we grew up among several families in Mombasa who were, and I think it's even unconsciously, because a lot of our families were not traditional people from the area, we kind of had a bond. So, you know, best friends were a Luo couple, another family was a Maasai couple. So we kind of had that like potpourri, if I could call it. And so there was a lot of closeness among that particular group, which then meant that, you know, a unique upbringing from, say, what may be a traditional, say, coastal family, for example. But within all that, just, you know, very unique, very loved. He himself, I think, is just a very unique individual, because within his family, he's the one who was sent abroad to India when he was 9. So in fact, I look back and I'm like, my shosho was just the one. You know, she's like, yeah, you go. In fact, the idea was you go and then come and sort of teach us or impart to us. And so even as we lived in Mombasa, all his friends were Indian, you know, and, and that just carried through. So that's just an example of, I think I'll just keep coming back to the word unique in terms of just who he was, or who he is rather, and our style of having grown up.
Sorry, you're mute, Mongera.
We can't hear you, Mogera.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is my meeting, and I'm the one who's misbehaving. Okay. So I was saying, was it shocking to you to come out into the world and realize that, by the way, not everybody grew up the way you did, and there's a lot of inequality. There's a lot of you guys are treated equally as kids, but out there, people don't care. There's a lot of inequality in the world. Was it shocking to you to realize that coming out of this sort of sheltered and almost cultured upbringing? What do you think, Christine?
Yes, it was shocking. A lot of things were shocking. I was shocked at divorce because I had never seen anything like that, or even that sort of separation. I was shocked at different realities for different families. But speaking, like Sharon has mentioned about her dad going to India, my dad also, he went abroad, when he was already married to my mom, and he went to work in New York City in the 60s, where there was a lot of racism and things like that. And he was still a confident Black man. So I guess he had this worldview, and later on, he traveled and really traveled around the world. And I think just having that worldview also just helped him understand different people. So that also helped us in terms of just being able to get along with anyone, understand, just, because Sharon mentioned the Indian things. I just remember, yeah, I mean, my dad had friends, all kinds of friends. So I would say, yes, for sure, that sheltered life, it wasn't a reality, and it was a shock to get to even 13, 14 and be like, okay, there's another reality of other families.
Yeah. What about you, Sharon? Was it shocking?
My goodness, I can't believe how Christine and I are just reading from the same script. But yeah, I guess yes, a sense of shelteredness. Yes, I think really appreciated that. Later. I like the word you used, cultured. I like to believe there was that, as well, I guess, in our family or probably with the community around us. But yes, I mean, it was really shocking, that things are different outside of your family. First of all, for instance, with us, there was just a lot of playfulness and humor in our family. So then, but I spent a lot of time with my uncle when I was in Nairobi, my late uncle, and their way of being raised was very firm and strict. And there was that whole maximum respect for the dad, and he was the man of the house, which was very different from how we were brought up, because then it was like, your dad is your friend kind of thing. So yes, I think just appreciating things were quite different. I think for me, especially as I was beginning college and older, after that working etc, just families are very different, people are very different, and that was definitely something that I discovered as I was much older.
Yeah. Do you think it served you well? That's the sheltered thing. Do you ever look back and think, wow, I wish I knew more about how the world really worked? I wish Dad told me, that people are not going to like me. Sometimes things are not going to work out that I wanted. Did you ever feel like, you were not really prepared for the world? You are treated well, you were raised well, for sure. But is there a sense of, I could have been prepared better for this? Did that ever happen? Occur to you? Sharon?
That's such a on-point question. Because yes, there was definitely that difference. I think it kind of stung, because you have things sort of really good around you, but then you step out into this life and this world that's pretty different, and I guess there's an expectation that you sort of figure it out as you go along. And so while I'm eternally grateful for the love and support that we've had in my family, I think it would have helped to just kind of have some conversations around expectations, around, there will be hard or difficult situations as you grow along. So yeah, that would definitely have benefited me more, I believe.
Okay. What about you, Christine? Did you come out of the shelter thinking, man, this guy should have prepared me better, or something of that sort?
Well, okay. I should also say my dad's background is that his father was really poor growing up. So my dad used to call himself the son of a squatter. So their own family, they like everyone actually did so well. Like his dad did so well to even come out of that, come out with something, start a family, educate his kids. So my dad, I would say, by revealing that and continuing to show that to us that, I've come from so far, it helped us also prepare that, life, you don't just get born into good life. Like you can come from struggle, get a good life, or even return to struggle. So I would say, yes, we were sheltered, but we also understood where our roots were from. So that helped.
Okay. Okay. And that brings to me, it brings to mind just a question, a dilemma. And if I can now bring in sort of the male viewers who are watching, there's often a dilemma for men, and I can speak for myself. And I'm talking about fathers here, because that's what Talk About is about. There's often a dilemma around what's the best approach. Do I want to shelter my kids and make sure that they're okay, or do I want to sort of cast them out and have them go get the hard knocks of life? Will they be better off if I give them a nice sheltered start, or do I want to throw them in the deep end as quickly as possible? And I don't know, from your perspective, from your experience, both of you, what would you advise, having grown up under men who are very untraditional, who didn't do what everybody else did, and who managed to raise you guys in an exemplary manner? What would you advise someone out there who has girls in his house and is thinking, do I want to hit these guys hard with the truth, or do I want to sort of ease them into life? What do you think? Let me start with you, Christine.
I would just say, I don't think there's a particular structure to go about this thing. I would just say, be real with your kids. Yes, the shelter helps, but when you're real, at least it shows that balance of life, and that, life is not just either cushy or everyone's going to love you or everyone's going to cater to you. I think it's a balance between that affirmation and also just revealing like what real life is about. So I would just say, love them, love those kids, love those girls, let them always know they are so secure in you and they can count on you. And then the rest, you just show them real life.
Okay. Thanks. Sharon, what do you think?
Yeah. I guess between the two choices, I would definitely go for the more sort of protective kind of upbringing. So not so much sheltered, because then that's I think that's like a cover, which then when someone steps out, it's such a shocker to them. So I think love, affirm, support, give confidence too, based on how your own marriage, for instance, is going, your own standards in your life as the father of girls. So yeah, I think the base has to be love, and just having conversations around certain expectations in life. So while there's love and support, just down the road, sort of bringing expectations or certain conversations. I guess to Christine's point about being real. Yeah, so that there's I guess expectations are managed. Expectations are managed, but you're coming from a place of love and affirmation. And so as you step out, that's your foundation, and that's what you ride on.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, there are no rules. I mean, well, the Bible, the scriptures are form some sort of rule, but I guess every family grows in its own way. So I guess we all have to figure out what works. I'm curious about gender roles. This whole thing of boys do this, girls do this. I imagine both of you grew up with siblings who are both genders. What did you learn about gender roles from your father? Are there things that girls are not supposed to do or boys are not supposed to do? And has that sort of played out into your everyday life and interactions? Maybe I start with you, Sharon.
Yeah, no. That would have been a story of a once upon a time story. Growing up, there was no such thing. You're the same. In fact, that kind of role differentiation, I think if anything, I would see some of it, like I was saying, I spent a lot of time with my uncle's family, and while he did love his daughters, there was a sense of separation of roles between his son and his daughters. But for us, it was everybody is equal, and everybody has the chance to go out and step into the career they want to, step into the life that they want to. So no, there wasn't that role differentiation going up, and I guess there still isn't.
Okay. And do you feel like it's sort of is it a plus for you in your daily life now, your professional life, and the way you interact with other people? Do you feel like that's a plus, just that lack of separation, or not?
For me, still. The question is still for me?
Yes, for you, Sharon. Sorry, for you, Sharon.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think so, because for one, I would, yes, love to have a family one day, and I don't expect I'll carry that forward in my own family. It's I would expect everyone to be treated equal, and just I think if anything, it's not about roles, but it's about values. And if you then have the same values, and especially a value like integrity, that was one of the things that I really saw in my dad, because I believe there was opportunity, even in his peer circle, to be able to kind of compromise on integrity, for example. But that was something that he was so firm about. So for instance, whereas I'm not, in my mind, I don't see role differentiation as actually even as important. For me, it's values that matter more. And then, you're able to role model what you've seen as far as positive values going forward.
Okay. What about you, Christine? Was there gender role differentiation in your house, and how has that affected you as an adult?
I would say no, just like Sharon. Everyone cooked, everyone cleaned up, everyone had their chores. So my dad was an excellent cook, especially with meat. So I would say no. And that's why I said for us, education was like, everyone has to get an education so that you can make it. It's not about boys making it so I would say no, there was that role differentiation wasn't really there. And I would also say, I hope and pray in my future family, it will be the same. And I'm going to echo what Sharon said about values and just that understanding, because everyone comes from a different background. So I think it's important just to understand the background of the person you're with or hope to be with, so that you have grace when dealing with them. Because like we've already said, not everyone grew up the same way. So yeah, I would say I pray that also those gender roles won't exist in my future.
Okay. You guys are too alike. You're too alike. I mean, probably should have gotten somebody else who can counterbalance and you can argue a bit.
I think we need to bring one more person on set.
No,
and yet we're finding out, through this conversation.
Yeah, these are not things, you guys didn't plan this, huh?
No. No prep.
Okay. No, it's a good thing. I think it's good. I think also Christ has something to do with that as well. I think our walk with God has a way of sort of making us do things similarly. We all follow Christ, and as we do, we become like him. And the more we are like him, I think the more we are like each other, I think. So that's a good thing. Coming to that issue of faith and religion, did your father have anything to do with that? You guys are both strong Christian women. Did your dad have anything to do with that? Christine?
Yes. I remember when I was about 6, that was the time my dad actually showed me again. And I asked him, what does that mean? I was like, you became a baby again? And so he explained it to me. And I remember asking my classmates in school, what is this thing? And they said that, both my parents told me about salvation and things like that. And I mean, they named me, fine, I was born around Christmas, so they named me Christine because I was born around Christmas, but it also means lover of Christ.
Oh.
So yes, so I would say, especially in his later years, I saw my dad's faith play out in how he did his things. And that was his standard of integrity. You know, he was an avid reader, so he would read the Bible back and forth and back and forth and back and forth among reading other books.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with the faith that I have now, but my dad definitely influenced me. And when he passed away, my encouragement was that I'm going to see him again because he's in heaven and I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was a great encouragement.
Okay. It's good to know. Sharon, what about you?
Yeah, wow. I'm thinking that's so powerful, Christine, you know, that we'll just actually cross over. So, you know, he's asleep and you'll just kind of join together on the other side. I think mine is different. So we finally have a difference. Where yeah, I can't say in younger years that you know, my parents were, you know, strong in the faith. So if anything, within my family, I was the first to experience that and to, you know, to be invited to be a follower to Christ, as it were. And so I would be the one who was, you know, encouraging my parents and, you know, singing about this God that we need to believe in, and, you know, speaking to them. And so, yeah, I thank God that they, you know, they both eventually came to Christ, my mother first before my father. And so now it's so interesting to see that he will, you know, sit and spend a lot of time reading the Bible, and he will talk about God and faith and everything. So that's definitely a Thanksgiving. It's interesting. So even now I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, like you've gone ahead if there's such a thing in the faith. So yeah, not having grown up, but definitely now. And I guess what that means in later years is that I think there's just more of a united unity rather in the faith, so that it's kind of now all of us, or most of us, who believe the same things and believe in the same God. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's always powerful. I mean, a father's influence can be very strong, and I'm grateful that it didn't go the other way, Sharon. Actually, your influence was stronger on him, which is another dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's many people who are part of this fatherhood conversation to pop up there who are Christians, who are men, believers. I think this is a lesson for them that, you know, thankfully they're on the right path. You know, following the God and walking with God, and their walk with God will have a big influence on their children as well. And the kids will see what they do, watch them read the Bible and all of that. They'll do it because kids imitate what we do. So I think it's a good thing to live it out as a Christian, as a dad. You know, live out your faith, and your kids will follow suit.
Exactly.
The scripture actually says that you know, Proverbs 22:6, teach a child in the way that they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. So that's a lesson for all of us.
Yeah, I think there's just such a and I don't even know that it's conscious, you know, that impressionism on children, but really there's truth in, you know, the saying of children will not do what you say, they'll do what you do. And especially like that, you know, like imagine Christine's clear memory of him reading the Bible, and you know, that's something I'm seeing perhaps in later years, but just seeing that, I think, just kind of affirms my faith, and you know, gives me that confidence to still walk the journey. You know, there could have been, like, you know, say, you know, the path could have been different, for instance. But you know, especially now that talking about God and reading the Bible and all that, it's really just an encouragement, and it has an influence to date. I mean, I'm an adult, you know, I'm charting my own path, but there's sort of that foundation, if you like, that, you know, that's still his journey. And so even as I'm going forward, even as I'm looking towards marriage and a family, I think just that encouragement to continue on that path.
Yeah. And I mean, and in the same light, you know, question again about sort of like learning from our fathers. You know, in terms of your profession, in terms of the thing that you've chosen to do with your life professionally, did your dad have anything to do with that choice? I know both of you are doing, you know, independent work. You're both running businesses and practices. Did your father have anything to do with that, Christine?
I would just say he gave me that adventurous spirit so that I was like, I can do business, I can go to school, I can be employed. So I would say not, he passed away when I was 27. So I wasn't really established in anything by that time. I had started working, yes, but not really found a line. But I would say he gave me and us that fearlessness that you can actually try something. And even if it fails, you can try something else and you can, you know, experiment with different businesses and just go all out. So I would say yes. Yeah.
Okay. So not necessarily the line that you chose in terms of the profession, but just the idea that you can actually do your own thing.
Yes, the idea that you can do your own thing, the idea that you can keep improving your education, because my dad was all about education. So that was always there. So yes, business, but yes, education, most important. So I would say maybe not the line, but just the fearlessness to walk into it.
Okay. Okay. Was he in business himself, or what is it about how he interacted with you that made you become that fearless?
So he was employed by the government before I was born. But as I said, I'm the last one. So for me, I found him like nearly retired. And therefore, he was in business. He was farming. He had different, he was in oil and petroleum. He was farming. He was doing different things. But he had a spirit of adventure all along, like from the time he was young. He lived in all far-flung parts of this country, you know, all the way Lodwar, such places. Then he had been to places like Colombia and Pakistan like 30 years ago. So he was an adventurer. So I think that definitely has influenced me, because
Okay.
I also I think I can adapt to any country or environment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have to let me follow this up. So was it a conscious thing that, you know, he was telling you, by the way, you know, you can also do this? Was he telling you these things, or did you just sort of pick up that vibe from him? I'm trying to see whether it was a deliberate effort on his part, or it was just him living his life and you sort of picking up that vibe from him.
We talked a lot. Since I was the last one, we had time. So that time created that bond and that friendship. So I was able to ask him questions, and I'm like, so what were you doing in this country? What was it like over there? How is it over there? What are the people like? What are the opportunities? So I don't think he was trying to make me adventurous, but we had the conversations. And therefore, it opened my mind up to all that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Sharon, what about you? What in your professional life has been as a result of your father?
Of my father. I think that's just what could be common with Christine, I think, is that just like a very open-minded view, very, you know, broad world view. You know, he may not have lived in that many different countries, but there was just such an openness as far as appreciating different cultures, different styles, and all that. And so I think even then among us as children, there is that, we carry that, just, you know, interacting with all kinds of people. Specific to my professional life, I think the one thing I've taken from him, and we've had conversations about it, but I think it's a lot more I've picked up from his modeling it, is a commitment to your work. He's been in the tea broking industry for I don't know, close to 40 years, and just been, you know, very steady in that business. Then, you know, kind of grown through the ranks. You know, managing a company in that area. So I think that's what I took away. And so in what I've done, I think I've endeavored to be in you know, committed rather, my time and lines of work. That hasn't always worked out, but I've kind of gone forward with that you know, wanting to be here, wanting to be loyal, wanting to drive the organization's agenda forward, almost like having a sense of duty to whatever you're doing. Because I think those are some of the subtle things I picked up from him.
Okay.
So I think to answer your question as far as whether to be deliberate or not, I think it's just to live out your professional life as you know, as well as you can. To, yes, have conversations with your daughters around perhaps what you're doing and what you enjoy about it. And then of course, you know, people will take their different paths as they grow up. But there'll be those conversations. So not so much about you know, either you must do this or you must not, but just having constant conversations, because I think that's what will remain in your mind even as you now go out into on your professional journey.
Okay. So there's an element of you want to try and be as deliberate as you can with your children, but at the same time, you know, you're sharing your life. You're also living your own life. Your life is not about your children. You also have your own life, your own destiny, your own purpose, your own God-given role in life. And so as you do that, you know, as you follow that path, you talking to your children and imparting certain values that you yourself are learning is part of the process. So there's a deliberateness to it that, you know, if you want to be a doctor, these are the things you need to do, sort of thing. But there's also a passion that you go with to work every day that your child will see and say, I want to be a doctor like that because dad loves his work so much. So there's sort of like it seems to be a balance that one must strike. Okay.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We're kind of drawing towards the end of this. I'm not seeing too many or any questions at all on the group. People are saying that they're finding it relatable and everything. No questions per se. Let me just ask everyone out there, if you're watching and you have a specific question, please feel free to ask. My guests are here. They knew that they're going to be on the spot. I've actually been very kind to them. So I think we need to hitch their chairs a little bit so that they can get squirmish. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. But yeah, because we're kind of wrapping up, we just have just a few more minutes. Let me talk about this whole thing of sort of like the relationship between parents, right? You know, there's this saying that, you know, daddy's girl and mommy's boy. And there's a sense in which sort of the girls gravitate towards the dad, maybe from a certain age, getting older, and the boys vice versa for their moms. And I'm told that sometimes that causes a rift between the relationships between the same gender. So women and their moms tend to either have a very frosty relationship, which thaws out over time, and men with their sons then tend to like butt heads quite a bit. So I don't know what your experience has been. What is your relationship with your mom like, and how has it always been like that, or has it sort of changed over time, improved? Maybe I'll start with you, Sharon, this time.
Yeah. I think, yeah, there's, you know, it's not sort of 100% evident, but yeah, there's definitely that element of, you know, a sense of daddy's girl. You know, he is the first man in your life, like his properly said, and moms and their sons. I mean, I think while mom loves us all equally, there's definitely a very strong love and protection, you know, over her sons. Specific to our relationship, I think for me it was different, and in as much as there is a lot of love modeled among my parents, it always came across like my dad was the more playful one, and my mother was the, you know, disciplinarian, as it were. So that's what I saw, you know, growing up. So dad is this way and mom is this way. And so I guess that did kind of play a role in terms of our interaction and our relationship, I could say. But, you know, over the years, having grown up, it's become really close, and starting to see things from a mother's point of view and some of the experiences, and, you know, even just life as a woman, you know, getting to see that now as I'm older. But yeah, I think the differences in how I saw my parents growing up you know, kind of led me to believe things a certain way for a long time. Yeah, so that's what I would say about that.
Okay. Christine, what about you?
I would say it's again a bit similar to Sharon. I would say that for me, definitely as a child, I was much, much closer to my dad. But as I grew older, got to my teens and beyond, my relationship with my mom grew stronger. So, and probably it was the same for the rest of my siblings. Like, yeah, girls closer to dad, the guys closer to my mom. Because as we are 5, I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. So I would say, yeah, the older, like I got to my later teens, I got closer to my mom. But as a small child, I was closer to my dad.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that question could go way deeper, but I think we have a couple of questions that someone has asked here. Yeah, somebody has joined in a little late. We kind of tackled this, Carl, but let me just ask it anyway. Someone is asking, Carl Carey is asking, how your fathers may have shaped your ideas about men's roles in relationships and marriage. We kind of touched on that briefly, but maybe we can just sort of like touch again. Let me start with you, Christine. And you know, roles. It sounds like he's asking about roles specifically in marriage, not necessarily gender roles, male, female, but sort of husband-wife kind of role. Whether that has been. What do you think?
I would say the roles were like they are best friends. They are number 1 on each other's team, and everyone else comes after number 1. So that I would say is the baseline. They were best of friends. They did a lot of things through a lot of consultation with each other, and yeah, they were each other's boys. I would just say they, they were just like same team. So yeah.
Same was up.
Huh? same power team.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Sharon?
Yeah. Hey, Carl. Carl is a good friend of mine. So yeah, I mean, as far as the roles, I would say it was more about you know, through that love and affirmation, then knowing that that's the expectation, even from men in our lives, or men in my life, let me say. And then now specific to marriage, you know, definitely just coming from a place of values, you know, being friends first, because I think that's what I see to date, you know, that actually over time there's a friendship that has developed more than anything else. So yeah, I think, you know, that the thing of you're confident even as you relate with guys, you're not going to take stuff from them, kind of thing, because of that confident foundation. And then I think just being friends with your spouse is a lot of what, at least I've seen in their marriage.
Okay. Cool. It's okay. Thank you for not using any expletives, Sharon. I can see that the Lord is working in you. In your
Hallelujah.
Life. Jesus is Lord. Amen. Okay, cool. So, you know, we're flat out of time. So just a last statement, a last comment. What would you say to anyone listening, and who's a father to be? Speak to the men out there based on your experience with your father. What would you advise somebody who's raising girls or raising boys? What would you say to them right now? Let me start with you, Christine.
I would say love those kids. Love those kids. Don't hold back that love, that time, that attention, and even affirmation, because sometimes kids don't perform like their siblings, but parents want to make that comparison and things like that. Don't do that. Keep encouraging their different giftings, their different achievements, their different. So I'll just say keep loving and affirming those kids, and pray for them. Prayer is very, very powerful. Kids will remember their dad praying for them. So pray for them and with them, and just love them. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Sharon, what
Well,
do you think?
I don't have much more to add to that.
You concur.
But yeah, I think just a whole lot of love and affirmation within the family setting. The foundation that everybody is the same. So, and as much as not having gender roles, not having, like Christine was saying, the whole comparing things like grades, for instance, between one and the other. So just encouraging everybody, even on their unique path, being just cheerleaders, being the full support system for children as they're young and as they grow up. And with adulthood, I think comes its own challenges. I know my mom keeps saying, it's nothing, when you're children, it's fine, but now as you're adults, it's just very complex to parent you all. So I think, just come from a foundation of love and support. And yeah, bless your children when they're young. Teach them the word of God, pray together as much as you can. And yeah, let people be free and have the confidence to be free because they've come from a foundation of love and support. So that's what I would say to our guys, our dads to be, our fiancés who are out there listening in. Yeah, love, support, pray, bless, let people be free.
Amen.
Thanks. Amen. I don't know if I can add to that. Maybe I should start a matching service or something for those fiancés who are listening out there. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for coming. I've really learned a lot. I think you guys are the epitome of what God says around teaching your children things that they should learn. From it. You guys have both grown up and are very untraditional fathers, and you're trailblazing. You're doing stuff that other people have never done before. You're strong and resilient in your own ways, in different directions that you're taking, different paths that you're taking, and I thank God for you guys. And I hope that the men out there who are listening can take the notes and the lessons from today's session and raise epic, wonderful, amazing, strong women, right? Because we need more of those in this world. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for being part of this conversation.
Thank you for having us, Mongera.
Sure,
and for reaching out to get the ladies' side of things. So thank you.
No problem. So I think we'll end it there. We started a little late, so we're ending at 8:01. And yeah, if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Oh, I forgot. Are you guys on social media? Do you guys want people to reach out to you or not? How can guys reach out to you? Do you have a handle or something that you guys reach out? People can reach out to you on? Christine?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, they can reach out. My name is Christine Gathuni on Facebook. They can reach out, inbox me, or if they can't get a hold of me they can maybe try through your page. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, Papa Bear page, but Sharon Bogwa on Facebook, at SW Bogwa Instagram. So yeah, feel free to reach out, comments, questions, sharing your own stories.
Propositions, no?
And all the above.
Okay.
Not Christine though. Christine is covered. So all
Christine
the above.
is sorted. Yeah. So please don't reach out to Christine for any other reason other than professional input. She's taken. Yes. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. If you want to reach out to me, also Mutiga, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Papa Bear. If you're watching this, you're on Facebook, so you know we're on Facebook. Papa Bear Kenya. We're on Instagram now. We're on Twitter now. We're on YouTube as well. So if you have any questions about fatherhood, anything you want to talk about, please reach out to me and let's have this conversation. Thanks a lot. Have a lovely evening and see you guys next week on Friday.
See you next week.
See you as well. Ciao.
Yes.